So Byron Saxton should be ashamed of himself, because at the start of SmackDown, he interrupted Damian Priest, who was walking to the ring. You never interrupt Damian Priest when he's walking to the ring. Also, hello, my friends. We're ups and downs with me, the Bald Idiot, Simon Miller, and we are a wrestling review show, and we give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. And don't forget, WWE Backlash is later, so we should get excited about that. Also made this image yesterday after somebody said, Simon, all of your bald talk is going to make the bald situation at AEW worse. I am shooting my shot here. I am trying to manifest. I am an idiot. Let's up those downs. Now, Damien was doing this because he had a big tag team match with LA Knight, and I guess Byron Saxton was desperate to know about it when LA Knight walked in and they just had the strangest conversation. Because, of course, they are enemies of Backlash, but now they had to tag. So eventually was like, well, you don't have my back. LA Knight was like, you don't have my back either. When Damian Priest was like, well, maybe I will have your back. LA Knight was like, fine, I'll do it too. Now, I really like this because it's how all wrestling conversations should be. How are you? I'm fine. Given the match we are getting for the United States title as well, their opponents were Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And I just want to shout out Solo Sikoa. I know he's kind of fallen down the pecking order recently, but I find him very entertaining. As a man who sits down to watch an entertainment show, if you entertain me, alright. LA Knight and Damian Priest's big old chat as well helped them for all of 7 seconds, because instantly they were bickering. So what did the Bloodline 2.0 do? Took advantage, whooped their ass. That actually didn't work because Damien was able to get on top when he sort of murked Fatu when he posed. I was like, man, do you not watch this show? I mean, probably not. Why would you? Never pose, never hit the D-pad, you will get wrecked. That's what happened. Bless this man though, as he was able to shrug it off and hit a double axe handle. He started to bicker with LA Knight again. This was totally tremendous. It's like siblings that both want to play Nintendo. Of course, right after the commercial break, Damian Priest was getting beaten up, and you're not going to believe this. He was trying to make the tag to LA Knight, but he wasn't able to do it. I was like, well, clearly that's the end of the match. It's never going to happen. Let's go home. I wouldn't be surprised if LA actually wasn't trying to hit his hand, because I'd be a bit like, now you want my help, do ya? You weren't that keen before. Fatu eventually got in there and he basically just hit a hip attack and then tagged Solo back in. And for a long while, I tell you, they were in control. Soon we did do the double slap though, which meant it was LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. And listen, Knight was cooking here until he didn't learn either, because he actually went and stole Jacob's pose. And do you know what happened? He slipped. Instant karma. I tell you, he recovered from this brilliantly. He hit the elbow. LA Knight is really good. They also had great chemistry as we saw at WrestleMania, so they continued to cook when Damian Priest tagged himself in. He was then going to hit the big choke slam, but LA Knight tagged himself back in. I was like, here we go. They cannot coexist. Solo Sikoa was having the best time though, because he was like, I'm absolutely going to slip in here. When LA Knight grabbed him, gave him the BFT, 1, 2, 3. Now this made total sense because of course I don't think LA Knight is going to win his United States Championship back at Backlash, so you got to keep him strong. But we have to make sure we have a good plan for Damian Priest as well. He is doing some really good work at the moment. He's a super interesting character, so let's not forget him. They of course eventually came to blows because now their alliance was no longer needed. It was like a comic book. Jacob Fatu was having a whale of a time because he snuck in and murked him. He also held that belt aloft, which of course is when Drew McIntyre teleported in because he is the 4th man, and he said, well, if you do that, I'm going to do it too, and he raised that belt aloft. Now, once again, I don't think Drew is walking away with that championship either. I'm sure it will be Jacob Fatu as we get into the Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu program properly, because we've got to turn Jacob babyface. So yes, all the other 3 guys need to do something, but I kind of feel like McIntyre is going to feud with Cody Rhodes. Don't know why, throwing it out there, giving it up, they're all super talented. We then had more stuff with R-Truth, who was backstage with the Let's Go Cena sign. Of course, Jimmy Uso walked in and said, Truth, I told you to stop doing this. He was like, I will not stop doing it. John Cena is my hero and I love him. Now, there is no way that WWE has just all of a sudden done this by accident, so I'm sticking with that prediction I did make. I think the reason John Cena wins at Backlash is because R-Truth is going to get involved. Now, maybe he does it by accident, maybe he does it accidentally on purpose, but otherwise, why would we be doing it? Like I say this a bit quiet, because people will get mad. 1, I think it's better than Travis Scott, and 2, I don't think it's the worst plan at all. Saxon then kept deciding he had to interfere in this US Championship stuff, because he found Drew McIntyre, and he actually said, why did you do that? But do you watch the show? McIntyre kind of shrugged that off and he's like, listen, it should be a one-on-one match because Damian Priest lost at WrestleMania and LA Knight lost at WrestleMania. Why aren't they at the back of the line? As always with the Drew McIntyre promo, you're a bit like, he is telling the truth. His plan though is to get that belt so he can become a WWE Grand Slam champion when he insulted Jacob Fatu's catchphrase. Now, I checked my book. You never do that. I think he's in trouble. I do not know what this book is that would give me such information. Secret Hervis and Chelsea Green were then backstage, and they are still mourning a US title loss. They all rule. They had seemingly taken this to Nick Aldis's office when he walked in with Zelina Vega. And out of context, this was great because Chelsea went, it's Zelina Vega, you don't have any friends. What a horrible thing to say. Of course, Zelina knew this was coming somehow, which was interesting, and she challenged Chelsea Green and one of her goons to a tag team match. Nick Aldis was like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Now, as you shall see throughout this evening, Nick Aldis is lucky a bunch of people did fall out backstage. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had a show. There were so many unannounced matches. I also do want to point out as well that during the first match, we saw Jade Cargill arrive, and she threw a bottle of water at one of the production trucks when she saw Naomi's picture. So I don't care, man. Those two are great. Before that match, though, we did get an Aleister Black vignette. I thought it was pretty good. Because he basically filled in the gaps where he has been ever since he left the WWE, without talking about AEW, but he has buried his old character 6 feet under. That means he's dead. He is more than a man that whispers in the shadows, though, when it's more about good and evil, because he wants to be the consequence of WWE. I hope he doesn't mean that literally. Think how many times he has to go to the ring and say, listen, referee, you missed that interference, you missed that distraction, somebody used a weapon. He's going to be exhausted. I will tell you, though, he just has a way about him. I'm very excited for the future of Aleister Black. There's also the chance that we get a chess game live on pay-per-view because he said he wants to challenge people physically and mentally. When indeed, it was Chelsea Green and Piper Niven taking on Zelina Vega and Alexa Bliss. Now all I'm going to say is that thank goodness Alexa was in the building, because again, when SmackDown started, we had no idea this tag team match was going to go down, unless Zelina Vega and Nick Aldis are in cahoots. And that would mean Chelsea was right. It was great though, because much like the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber, Alexa Bliss just gets such a mega pop, and we essentially took the classic WWE tag team formula here. Zelina Vega got whooped for a little while. When she hit the DDT on Piper Niven, hot tag to Alexa, she ran wild. She even got the Twisted Bliss, but Piper was able to break that up at the 1-2. When Zelina Vega was so mad, she tried to hit the code red onto Piper, but she wasn't able to do it, so Bliss helped her out. It's fun to be a team. From there too, she just grabbed Chelsea Green, who was about to hit the Unprettier. She reversed it. She hit the Sister Abigail DDT. How was that? There we go. So yes, in places maybe this was a little bit wibbly wobbly, but go and listen to the fan reaction, the live reaction, the crowd reaction. They were having a good time, and I'll be honest with you, it's just nice to have her back. And now hopefully we can take all aspects of this and build a US title program around it, because that could be quite fun. Although there is a caveat to that later. I don't know whether Bliss is going to be involved with the White Six either. That has been the long-standing rumor, but I tell you, as long as they are healthy and good to go, they do need to come back to TV. But I'm giving it an up. It was a wonderful surprise. Rey Fenix and Santos Escobar were then having the most passive-aggressive conversation you ever heard in your life when in walked Los Garza. They are still under Santos' spell though, so they beat up Rey Fenix. That essentially means the Lucha Brothers are coming. They also threw him into a box-like structure when Andrade finally turned up. I was like, bro, you are so late. And I still have this inkling, even with all the other story parts, that it is going to be Andrade, Penta, and Fenix taking on Legado del Phantasma. I don't know why. That's just what I think, and if I am right, I have to say it, and then I can be like, woohoo, I did it. Charlotte Flair then walked to the ring, so she is officially back on SmackDown. I think she was in a very good mood. And yes, look, she did say that her WrestleMania match against Tiffany Stratton was one of the best WrestleMania matches ever, which the internet has clung on to. Don't want to be that guy. She is a heel. I think she is exaggerating. After some time to think about it though, Charlotte Flair is now ready to go back to her World Championship, and she kind of insinuated here that she'll do that by winning matches. When she got booed, and she got booed some more, and they continued to boo, so Charlotte was like, alright, well if you keep doing that, you'll never see me again. Now, that is moth to a flame. They did continue to jeer, so yeah, Charlotte threw the microphone down under the power of 1,000 suns, and she walked off. She didn't get very far either because Jade Cargill's music then hit and she walked to the ring, and we had to stare her off because that's what wrestlers do, but then Jade got a microphone and was like, yeah, Charlotte, you get to the back of the line. Once again, something is happening. Nick Aldis also found Charlotte as she was leaving, was like, would you calm down and be a leader? And Flair was like, no, I'm going to be a child. When yeah, as she was getting into her car, Alexa Bliss popped up and said, maybe we should have a chat. Listen, that could be about anything. Maybe she has, I don't know, like some clothes she wants to sell, but if it is about some kind of alliance or it turns into a feud, well, I tell you, I'm intrigued. When it was time for our women's title #1 contender match, Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax, I'm going to tell you straight, my friends, this was great. Now, of course, Tiffany Stratton came to the ring to watch because all champions are a bit weird. To start with, Nia Jax ran over Jade Cargill. So So Jade Cargill got up and she ran over Nia Jax. I tell you, this was big women slapping women meat. They also both hit Samoan drops, which actually isn't technically true, because Nia is Samoan, so that one counts, whereas for Jade's, well, I guess we just have to call it the drop. Jax also tried to sit on Jade Cargill, but she got out of the way when she hit this massive spine buster. I'm not exaggerating. I could have watched them fight all day, or for the allocated minutes that WWE decided to give them. Nia Jax hit a bomb of power as Cargill came back with the splash of the frogs for a 1-2 ooh. Even Joe Tessitore on commentary is popping his socks off. Jax then held Jade around the ring for a while, so she came back and booted her in the head, as this got really good, when of course Naomi decided, well, about 10 minutes has passed, I have a feeling in my tum-tum. She ran to the ring and she beat up Tiffany Stratton, who was literally just sat there. Now, of course, Jade Cargill is a wrestler who cannot handle another wrestler she's feuding with being in her vicinity, so she just stopped. That's right, she totally forgot she was in a match. Jax murked her, hit the Annihilator, 1, 2, 3, whoopsie-doo. Now it doesn't actually matter because of course we can carry on this Jade and Naomi feud and they are so much fun together. And yes, we can do Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax. I actually think it's too soon to go back to that, but Tiffany will win, and she's the champ, she needs wins. This was just really fun stuff though and stood out in the best way. You should find time to watch it. They're all very good at what they do. Meech and B-Fab then bumped into the Street Profits and went, man, you all still look pretty beat up. It's like, I think you could have just said nothing. It's like when you turn up at work and they go, oh, bro, you look tired. Yes, I didn't sleep. Anyway, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins were going to the ring. They're like, did you see our amazing TLC match? We think it was the best ever. I mean, it's certainly up there. Now, I really don't know what else they were going to talk about here or what they had planned, because Fraxiom then interrupted them. And let's say Fraxiom didn't do this. Was Montez and Angelo just going to be like, yeah, not sure what we're here for. I mean, thanks very much for saying we're great. We out. Now, Nathan Frazier admitted that maybe the Street Profits are the best in the game right now, but they've been trained by Shawn Michaels, so they're going to seize every opportunity. Axiom then looked at those belts and he was like, well, they are some pretty things. Thankfully, Angelo then took over and said, wait a minute, you guys have had 2 matches. You don't get no title shot. You are very impressive, but let's just calm down. Of course, Nick Aldis was in the back having a meltdown because he was like, oh my gosh, it's 3 hours and I didn't book anything. So he walked out and said, guys, I think we should do this tag match. And then he ran away. He pulled a fast one. Now I'm going to throw a quick down in there because I just think it's too soon on SmackDown. They have so many teams that Nathan Frazier and Axiom could have gone through. Although fair play to WWE, they did have a good story here. But while I never want NXT call-ups to be left in the ether, which we did with somebody like B. Priestley, at the same time, I don't think all of a sudden you need to go, ha ha, we're doing it. So yes, that's a down. However, the story, like I say, was, even though they didn't mean it to be this way, the Street Profits are injured, they were all taped up, so maybe Fraxiom can take advantage, and they did. The other point I want to make as well is that this was so damn good, I could be dead tomorrow, so I wait. Dawkins was throwing Nathan Frazier into and the announce table when Montez Ford tagged in, and he started doing splashes, but he was also like, oh man, my tum-tum hurts. Now at this point, I need to tell you the Street Profits did have some tape around them, and I can't believe it. How did that not stop the pain? Eventually Frazier remembered that he had to fight, so he started doing double team moves with Axiom. They're tremendous, man. They're terrific. They move at 100 miles an hour, and they're just a joy. Ford then smashed Axiom as he got the suplex, but unfortunately for him, he went all Britney Spears. He did it again. His own moves were hurting him. The Super Duper blockbuster they hit as well was a sight to behold when, of course, the tag clacks and went off, and all these 4 guys were fighting, like I've said a lot through this episode. I honestly could have watched it for a long ass time. Fraxiom even did their Spanish Fly and Phoenix Splash combo that did get broken up at the 1-2. And I was just like, man, how do they hit everything so cleanly? It was smoother than my head. Dawkins then got wrecked on the outside with a golden ratio, and that must have confused Montez Ford, because he went for the frog splash, but he missed. Didn't have to ask Fraxiom twice, who hit the Catapulta Inferno, and yes, they got the 1-2-3. So even though I was being a moaning Minnie a few minutes ago, I did like this, and just to be a hypocrite, there is a part of me, my left knee, that's like, isn't it great that somebody came up from NXT and already beat the SmackDown Tag Team Champions? The answer is yes. So you just have to get the fast booking and remember what we used to do with call-ups like this, and later on too, the Machine Guns found Fraxiom, and they were all buddies when DIY killed everyone, and essentially started to educate Nathan and Axiom, so like, nobody can beat us. Now, I hope we don't fall back into this, because these SmackDown tag teams have been attacking each other backstage for around about 42 years, but you gotta give it an up, and it's another one find some time in your day to watch it. Tiffany Stratton then found Nia Jax backstage and called her a massive loser like Charlotte Flair. When we got a video for Gunther versus Pat McAfee, some people are now worried that Pat may win. The Miz was then calling Carmello Hayes the 10th wonder of the world, and we may start using that for him, I suppose, when I'm just going to drop my joke. Yes, I know the necklace around Carmello's neck is Andre the Giant because he won the Battle Royal. I just thought it would be funny to say it was Andrade because Carmello Hayes had that feud with him, and it's the lamest joke ever. Andre and Andrade kind of sound similar, but nobody is getting this. I get wrecked with messages every week going, Simon, it's Andre the Giant, so I'm killing it's dead, you ruined it. It was the preamble to Carmello Hayes versus Aleister Black though, and this is another one. My gosh, good stuff. Melo went for a springboard early on, but Aleister was able to get out the way, but actually the best of those was later on, when we essentially did a round 2, and Aleister Black ended up in his sat down pose position. So he is the exception to the rule. He should be posing all the time. Some of their strikes were absolutely brutal too, as Black was able to get the springboard moonsault and a brainbuster. And these two work so well together. And honestly, Aleister Black's another guy. He has re-debuted, and he has looked like he's got the stuff. Miz clearly got worried at this stage. He didn't want his friend to lose, so he jumped on the apron, which people in WWE are obsessed with. And it basically went like this. He tried to attack Aleister Black, but Aleister Black got out of the way. So Carmello Hayes was like, oh, I'm going to attack The Miz, when once again, just using the power of smoothness, Aleister Black hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, surprise roll-up, and he got the 1, 2, 3. And as I'll always say, that maneuver is overdone, but when you can have it that cleanly, bravo. Now this ties into the fact that The Miz ran at Aleister Black after this, and he hit the Black Mass, and he just walked off. And when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, he's the most badass man on the planet. So we've got to run this back and maybe start a best of 7 series again, and I am going to give it an up. Seriously, I'm just going to be like a broken record. Go and watch this, or at least watch the last 2 minutes. It was pretty fantastic. Jacob and Fatu and Sikoa were then talking to each other in the back, and the lights were off. Bro, you don't have to do things in the dark. Now Solo was trying to tell Jacob that we need a plan. So Fatu was all like, no, I told you already, man. It's all gas and no brakes. Do you know what that means? So I was like, yeah, I know what it means. He did not know what it meant. So of course that breakup is happening soon when Nick Aldis proved that he had forgotten to book SmackDown this week. Because it was indeed Andrade and Fenix taking on Los Garza. And when had that been made? Around about 45 minutes ago. Now look, it was another great tag match given everybody who was involved. This is why WWE sometimes needs to play around with their playbook. So we just went through all the same vibes. You got the hot tag, you had the people go nuts after the hot tag with the 4-way, and eventually Santos Escobar jumped on the apron. There needs to be like some kind of barrier around the apron. Why is everyone allowed to do this? Mr. Tranquilo also got beaten up for a while, which did make sense because he hasn't wrestled since 1847. When he was able to hit the Poison Rana, he got the big old slap. We've already talked about it, hot tag. Now Ray Fenix is just brilliant at that, and some of the 1-2-oohs were damn good, although I don't think the result was ever in question. When, yes, Santos got into the ring, or on the ring, whatever you want to say. Now, there's actually more to this, because at one point the Garzans were going to get the pin, but Santos had timed his distraction terribly, so the referee wasn't looking to do the 1, 2, 3, so technically it's on him. Andrade used that to start elbowing people in the face as Fenix just soared over the top rope. This was actually a pretty good combo, because Andrade then hit the message, he got the 1, 2, 3, so if Pentagon does want to keep doing his IC title stuff, you could probably just put these two together as a tag. There was more to this as well afterwards because Santos Escobar was like, why did you do this, you stupid idiots? Even though it was his fault, and this time Berto could take no more. He slapped his hand away and he walked off, whereas Angel stood there like, man, I don't know what to do. Now, once again, I kind of think they will stay together before we do that big old tag team match with the Lucha Bros and Andrade. At least we're doing something with these guys. They actually have a story. The other problem is that everybody's breaking up on SmackDown. Well, that's been a WWE problem since day one. If you do ever arrive in the company, do not get into a relationship. It will go bad. It isn't up. It was good. Amen that John Cena was here to close the show, and I see everybody on the internet, of course you're allowed your opinion, go, oh man, it's so disappointing. Not to me. Bad guy John Cena is my new favorite person in the world. Now, some idiot threw a bottle at him before he started his promo. If that was you, you're an absolute moron. If you're going to go to the shows, don't do this. It's not about you. Obviously, John was totally unfazed by it because he knows what he's doing when he just shouted into the microphone, tomorrow your childhood dies. I was like, listen, John, I know what you're doing here, but my childhood died a long time ago. You think I was born like this? No. It's also smart that Randy Orton listened to his advice and didn't turn up tonight because, of course, he's going to murder him at Backlash. But let's look at the facts here. These guys have been wrestling for the last 25 years. They are the epitome of the ruthless aggression era, but that man has been riding my coattails forever. He also wanted to make sure that these three things were proven true, which is 1, life isn't fair. It's true. Number 2, history is written by the winners. It's true. And number 3, his whole career, Orton has been lying to himself. Damn. Because while Randy wants to talk about John Cena's hustle, loyalty, and respect, all Orton has ever done is use his connection to coast through WWE. He thinks turning up every single week counts as hustle, but no, it doesn't. That's just taking a paycheck, and look at all the potential you did have. You didn't do anything with it, and in fact, you're the go to being lazy. To this point, John Cena was just a walking version of the internet, and he even started talking about the Orton family, being like, nobody knows Bob Orton Sr., nobody cares about Bob Orton Jr., and Randy, you called yourself the Legend Killers, but all the legends you took out were actually nobodies that did nothing in this industry. I was like, John, you gotta calm down. The whole time, too, he was using his hustle, loyalty, and respect catchphrase to prove why it's John Cena who is the greatest of all time. When, yep, he dropped the killer line. So he said eventually Randy Orton's career is just going to be like his 2006 drug test, an absolute failure. Now, some people are like, oh man, it's way too late to say this. Some people in the crowd probably doesn't even know what this meant. Well, you can Google it. 2, if you're smart, you could figure it out. And 3, I knew what it meant. I watched this show for me, so I was doing the dance of joy. But I can't believe he said it. And then got massively weird because somebody who kind of looked like Randy Orton in a hoodie tried to RKO John Cena, but that guy just got AA'd. But also, this guy wasn't Randy Orton. I mean, Randy could have eaten him. It was a massive trick though, because yes, Randy then appeared from behind John Cena and dropped him with the RKO. And I understand that's what we've been doing for the last few weeks, but the fans like it, and it does make sense. Randy ain't winning that championship, so you may as well have him lay out John Cena all the time. My main question is, who is this hooded guy? Because either 1, Randy Orton bullied him into doing it, which is mean, or 2, this guy was happy to be beaten up by John Cena, so he's got a problem. So I just love it, and Cena is such a good supervillain. And I ain't talking about WrestleMania anymore. That keeps coming up too. That was ages ago. I got real problems. I move on. I'm also massively ready for the final bout between Randy Orton and John Cena. Because even if it is a pretty standard match, there was a time in my existence where I didn't think I was ever going to get this again. And I certainly didn't think I was going to get heel John versus good guy Randy. Sometimes I will take what I can get. I am giving it an up. And just to run it into the ground, bad guy John Cena is my new pal. Now overall, this SmackDown was damn good, mostly from the match quality, and actually it did do its job. I'm looking forward to Backlash, even though I think it's going to be a bit of a wishy-washy show. Up. Now, of course, please do let me know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown in the comments below. Like the video, share the video, and please do subscribe. And if you'd like to know what I thought on Raw, you can click the video on the screen right now. And I'm going to ask you that you do that, otherwise I don't know that I'm wrong. Otherwise, my friends, have a terrific weekend. I will see you tomorrow for the Backlash ups and downs. That's it. Goodbye.